Good morning, everybody. It is early on Saturday morning. It's not even 8 o'clock here yet, but I have woken up at 4:30 and I've been ready to go live all morning. So this is going to be earlier than I normally do go live. So wherever you are in the world tuning in, I hope you get this. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down, because today we're going to talk about how you can quantum jump into your highest timeline. And I'm going to explain that a little bit because we do have certain timelines that are playing out based upon our past experiences, based upon our past belief systems, and how we have fit into the mold inside of our matrix. Now, I have a program called Leaving the Matrix, and this is where I get in there and I work with your brain and your belief systems and how you personally have been programmed to secure your spot within the matrix. Leaving the matrix means you're going to be changing your mindset, changing belief systems, and all of those things that have literally been hardwired into your DNA so that you can truly live the life that you're meant to live. Many of you have a calling, and you may be far away from your calling. You may be living a life that doesn't feel right to you. Even though that life may look beautiful to the outside world, it may look perfect to others who observe what you have. You may still feel like this inner need to fulfill something that is not in your current reality. This is a really good indication that you do have some sort of calling. And when your calling is really screaming at you, you'll feel a separation from the end result. You'll feel like it's too far to achieve based on where you're at. Now, I'm not encouraging everyone to just pack up and leave their lives that they've created. Maybe look at how you can incorporate that into your current life. But if the life you have built is not fulfilling, is not in alignment with your calling, then now is actually the time that you can redo some of those programs within yourself so that you can get in alignment with your highest timeline and your calling. So that's easier said than done. If you're trying to do this, if you've been going through a major life change or you're kind of feeling on the brink of it, many people actually are very fearful at this point and really cling to their past. They really fixate upon the things that made them happy, the time and effort it took into building that particular life. And they don't want to move out of that because of the safety and security that they feel it provides. But if that safety and security isn't deeply fulfilling to you, then you may have built that previous life experience based on old faulty programs. Now, when I talk about programs, you have to understand your brain is like a computer. You have been programmed by your ancestors. You have been programmed by the schools you grew up in. You've been programmed by the community you lived in. You have been genetically programmed by everybody in your family, previous generations, and so much more. So many times when people want to change their life, but they're feeling afraid to make changes, that is because your own ancestors, they weren't allowed to make changes. They weren't allowed to follow their heart. And I think that's one of the most easy to assimilate ideas around making changes in your life. Our ancestors had a harder reality than what we live in. They were very, very much operating out of the lower chakras, which is the root chakra and sacral chakra. In fact, most of your ancestors had their sacral chakra closed down because the sacral chakra is all about enjoyment and pleasure and all the things that just inspire you and make you feel alive. It's also having to do with sensuality and connecting with somebody that you love sexually. And the root chakra is all about money, creativity. It's about building your own stability in the world, building something generationally that you can pass down. It's about home and family. And so all these concepts are changing because your ancestors had different views, different belief systems that they had been programmed with. Because they were operating out of survival, they were in their lower chakras, whether they were closed or activated. Most of our ancestors did without pleasure. They lived a life of sacrifice for their family or for their survival. And what that means is that they often stayed with partners that weren't real loving. They often put their, stayed with partners because they wanted to raise children. They often lived very difficult circumstances because their whole goal was bringing their children up to adulthood without having them die. I mean, that was their life goal. So times were hard and people made these kinds of decisions. So when you've been genetically programmed from your ancestors with these beliefs, you are not fulfilling your calling. You don't even know that you can make choices with your heart, or that you can activate your higher chakras and connect with unlimited potentials, connect with your own connection with God, creator, source energy, whatever your belief system is. You're actually staying in your lower chakras, afraid to make changes. Actually, your ancestors may have also had the sacral chakra issues with that one. That is all about self-empowerment. So I'm saying, like, those lower chakras, that's where your ancestors were. And now we're in a time we have been vibrationally upgraded because the earth has been vibrationally upgraded. As the frequency and vibrations have shifted and changed, we are kind of shaking out of those old paradigms and the old matrix that hold us into those lower chakras. And we're coming up more into our heart our heart center and our throat. We speak our truth. We're showing up for ourselves. We're activating our third eye, which means we can see things in our future. We can see potential outcomes. We're more intuitive. And then, like I said, our crown chakra, that's about changing realities around our connection with the divine. We are not being told about what dogma to follow. We're actually getting our own connection with the divine. And so this is us operating out of our higher chakras. Now, the thing you want to do is operate out of all your chakras, right? So if you have genetic programs in your lower chakras that are holding you back, keeping you in sacrifice and struggle and fight or flight, those issues need to be healed so that those chakras are moving freely, that there's flow going through your entire body, and that those genetic ancestral beliefs are cleared up so that you're in alignment with your highest timeline. This allows you to actually create what it is that you most desire to create in your life. And this is really how we quantum jump into our highest timeline. That means that we're fully in alignment. We don't have residual programs holding us back. We are not living a life of struggle and sacrifice. So this also requires change. The only way that you can jump into your higher timeline, quantum jump to get there, is to change your reality, change yourself. You are the center of your reality. So when you begin to deprogram, sometimes we call it reprogram, but let's just say deprogram. We want to get rid of those old programs that are not serving you in the time space we live in now. When you start to deprogram from the way that you have been set up to live, you begin to be more authentic with yourself. You begin to find that your calling reveals itself. You begin to experience things in life that you maybe never thought were possible. You may start to push yourself in different ways, like doing new things and growing yourself and allowing yourself these opportunities. So many people, if you'll know you're operating out of your old programs if you're trying to stay safe and secure. If that is your primary energy that you're running, safety and security, you're definitely living out of your genetic programs. Because when we're feeling safe and secure, we don't take chances. When we're feeling safe and secure, we don't grow. We don't experience new things because all of our energy is focused upon keeping everything in place. And that's not the energy to grow in. Now, that doesn't mean you can't feel safe and secure as you're growing into new things. But what I see is that most people that are really focusing on holding everything in place, they're the ones that have the most difficult time when life changes. When one of these things in their life, like losing a job, losing a loved one, getting divorced, anything that we go through that is difficult, challenging on an emotional, spiritual level, these people have the hardest time because they're trying so hard to hold everything in place. And life is always moving you forward. Life is flowing. Life is like this. Life is just moving right along. And if we're anchoring down and we're holding ourselves in place, we can't quite go with the flow. So the people that are in that energy of really holding on, I know where my money is, I know where my job is, my marriage is secure, my house is secure, I don't want anything to change. It's going to change anyway. Everything changes. Now, in my program, I often talk about this as being a soul opening experience. A soul opening experience is one that breaks your soul open. It actually comes through very difficult, very challenging, and also very painful experiences in your life. When you have a soul opening experience, it is not to break you, it is to open you, it is to provide a spiritual awakening so that you can actually have these changes in your mindset and in your program so that you can move with the flow of life, so that you can change the way you're programmed, so that you can experience new things, so you can show up differently for yourself in your life. Hello. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. So it's really important that when you're going through a soul opening experience, that you recognize it's for your spiritual growth, your spiritual awakening. And as you probably know, we've been going through this in a pretty massive way since 2020. And I intuitively felt it coming since about 2015, when I really recognized that vibrationally the planet was shifting and more of you were having spiritual awakenings in terms of seeing spirits, being aware that there's some kind of mystical thing around us going on. More synchronicities were showing up. There's kind of like this magical thing that people were experiencing in large numbers for the first time. It used to just be us mediums and healers that had those experiences. But when that started reaching the masses, it was almost like a catalyst for what happened in 2020, because that was a soul opening experience for so many people. There was so much loss and devastation, financially, losing loved ones, changing their lives, losing marriage partners, all the things. A lot of freedoms were lost, right? And so globally, that was an enormous soul opening experience. It was a spiritual awakening. And also during that time, there were a lot of dark energies running through. I saw them and I helped my clients through them when they were hitting certain areas on the globe. I could see that the darkness was coming over different cities. And it wasn't to scare people. It was, again, to create the soul opening experience, to create an atmosphere for spiritual awakening. And what that really means is becoming authentic, shedding the programs, shedding the limits that you've been told, shedding the way that you have shown up in your life in a small way. So all of these things, they have recalibrated us, they have moved us forward, they have had us accepting different things that we may not have accepted before. You know, there's many of you that have become a lot more nomadic since 2020, having to move, live with family, live with roommates, shifting your living experiences. And part of this energy is calling for people to be more nomadic, because it moves us out of the energy of trying to anchor everything down and be safe and secure. So that's a big thing, because in your mind, if you are one of those people that's been moving and shuffling around a lot, you may feel like you may be judging yourself. You may be thinking like, oh, I'm not very stable. Look at me now. You might be, interpreting that as a negative. But if you're one of those people that's moving around and shuffling around, I would say you're right in the flow. You're right in alignment with what's going on through the universe, globally and in all the countries, right? So it is part of releasing. And I've gone through pretty major releasing everything I owned, releasing relationship, moving homes, moving again, losing everything again. and it really taught me to really embrace unattachment. So non-attachment. You don't want to like cling to those things that make you feel safe, right? You always want to get into a home and make it safe and secure and beautify it, and then have everything anchored down. Okay, now I'm safe. And then all of a sudden that moves around again and you're like, oh my gosh, now I'm not safe. Let me get safe again. You get into your next place and do the same thing. And it's kind of like craziness because things are shuffling. So this time frame that we're currently in asks you and invites you to be more flexible and to clear any self-judgment that you have. You're not supposed to stay anchored down right now. Life is trying to move you and align you into your calling, help you align with what your soul truly wants to experience here. And hopefully, many of you will be able to do that within the relationships you've already built and within the family dynamics that you're already living within. But many of you won't. Many of you will be called to leave things that are familiar, that feel safe, because your soul is leading you forward. And if you're one of those people, I do have a special program for you. It's called Leaving the Matrix, where I actually get into your brain and your genetic coding and help you to get in alignment with really what brings you the most peace, joy, happiness, prosperity. I help you get in alignment with that by clearing all those beliefs that have had you create false paradigms for yourself. And even though, and I don't want to say false in such a way that they don't matter, they do matter. The people in your life matter, the situations you've lived through matter, but they were built upon faulty programs. And so when we create a life based on unconscious faulty programs, that life, even however full it looks, it doesn't satisfy us. It doesn't fulfill us. And so clearing out all of those programs allows you to redefine what it is that actually brings joy to you and fulfillment to you. So be sure you check out my program, Leaving the Matrix, if that calls to you. If you have been going through a spiritual awakening and need some spiritual guidance and healing through that process, or if you're currently experiencing a soul opening experience, which could be divorce, loss of a loved one, it could be losing your job, any kind of drastic change that has shook you to the core, that is a soul opening experience. So that program's for you, called Leaving the Matrix. And my website is www.dianapalm.com. You can check it out there. I also offer private sessions for many different segments. It's just aimed at one particular aspect of where you may be. And we do the same thing. We do spiritual healing. We get in there and clear programs. I help you understand your divine timing, why things are showing up in your life, how you're being moved forward. We clear up genetic programs and all of that. So you can check that out as well. There's 5 things that I want you to ask yourself to help you evaluate where you're at in this process. Okay, the first one is take some time to evaluate where you are in your life and why you're there in your life. I mean, so just look around, like, where are you living? What family dynamics or relationship are you experiencing? What are you doing for your work? And just kind of evaluate that. Sit with that energy for a minute and see how it feels for you. And ask yourself why. Why did you create this particular reality for yourself? Is it something that is truly in alignment with you? Or is that based on old programs? And that's okay. Either way, there's no judgment, right? Because we can only create from how we're programmed at the time. And then if we change our programs, we create new. So wherever you were at when you created it, just take a little time to observe without judgment and just see how that feels to you. See if that's in alignment with you. The second question I'd like you to ask yourself is, how is it serving you? Okay, so even those of you going through very difficult times, I guarantee it's serving you. Everything in life serves us. So how is your particular situation that you're in right now serving you? Is it causing you to grow? Is it causing you to speak up for yourself? Is it causing you to create newer boundaries, better boundaries, healthier boundaries? Is it causing you to think outside the box or to really want to pursue your calling? There are many ways that things serve us. And we always think, that serving us means, oh, it's coming to us on a platter and it's bringing like joy and love and money. But many times things serve us in the opposite way. When things are a struggle and when things are difficult, that serves us too. because it brings clarity and it often ignites your heart into understanding what it truly is that you really want. So take a moment to ask whatever situation you're in, how is it serving you? What are you learning from this experience? The third thing is, oh, that is the third thing. What are you learning? I kind of combined those two. So the third thing is, what are you learning from this experience? What is it teaching you? Many times people get into patterns and they might be in a certain pattern within a relationship and meet somebody new that's wonderful. And then all of a sudden the pattern shows up there too. So if that's happening, what are you learning from the particular pattern? And you can basically kind of shield whichever partner, lover you've had in your life and just look at the pattern. What are you learning from this pattern? What are you learning from rejection? What are you learning from abandonment? What are you learning from a narcissist? What are you learning from whatever? Fill in the blank. What are you learning from this experience? And it's not about blaming. It's not about finger pointing. And it's not about questioning yourself or feeling guilty or shameful because you've been in a pattern. That's not it. Life will continue to bring you the same. Even if it doesn't look like the same in the beginning, it will become the same if you still have something to learn within that energy system. So free the individuals that are involved and just look at the energy that's showing up in your life. What is that pattern? And this is how you can actually break free from some of your own programs, is by really understanding like what you're learning from the pattern, from your life experience that keeps showing up. Okay. The fourth thing is, what percentage of new things are you allowing to come into your life experience? I mean, that's a pretty easy one, because if you're locked down and you're like getting up every day, doing the same morning routine, going to work, coming home, taking care of the kids or making dinner or watching TV or whatever that is, whatever your life looks like, if it's the same, even if it's wonderful, even if you boat every weekend or you travel, take a mini vacation once a month, whatever it is, if it's always the same and you're not letting in new energy, then you're in some form of holding it down, feeling safe and secure. Repeat patterns, right? This feels familiar. This feels safe. Even though I love it, it's the same all the time. Okay. That is a way that you may be limiting yourself from your full expression. So I want you to think about what percentage of new energy do you let into your life? This will be meeting new people, embracing new friendships, picking up and moving to a new location, joining a new community, doing a new job, educating yourself and learning some new skills. Anything that you can do to bring new into your life, the more percentage, the higher percentage, the better, because your soul wants to grow and your soul is urging you to grow. This is why we have these shakeups. This is why we have soul opening experiences. This is why you're going through a spiritual awakening, because you're being called to experience new things and to minimize and alleviate yourself of the genetic programs and your past life programs and all of the community consciousness, all the programming you've experienced in your life through church, school, and everything else you've observed. And you're being called to step into this new vibration, this new you, this new self that is in the flow that we were talking about earlier with life, in the flow, allowing new things to come into your life. So just take a moment to think about that. Maybe it's 5 or 10% today, but knowing this information now, maybe you can move that bar and start consciously choosing to do new things. Maybe it goes up to 25%. Maybe you jump way up to 75%. The goal is to get higher on the scale of allowing new energy in, because this will always, when you're allowing new, you'll be bringing in fresh new energy that's currently vibrating with you where you're at. And since we're growing all throughout our life, if we create a reality here, even if it seems perfect, but we don't let in new energy and new things and new experiences, that gets old, because your soul has already outgrown it. By the time you've created that reality, your soul has already passed it up and wants to experience something else new. And that's very, very normal and natural and in alignment with your soul growth. Some people feel like, well, I just wanted to be fulfilled and have this one dream and stay right here. That's like, it's okay. You could be fulfilled in having it, but you will have more fulfillment in creating something new now. So continuing to grow is the energy of your soul. So just look at that. Just look at how you can let a higher percentage of new energy into your life. Again, some people hang on to friendships from the past because they're people they love and they've built lifelong friendships with. And those are all wonderful things. I'm not saying to discard good people in your life, but all of those people came to you 20 years ago when you were vibrating very differently, when your life experience was very differently. And not all those people continue to grow along with you. They may be holding a lot of projections from the past, ideas about you from the past. They may be stuck in some old energy. And so if you are always opening that door to let more new in and allow new friends to come into your experience, always along the way, you're vibrationally coming into more alignment with new people. And sometimes those two groups can mix together. Sometimes you can have a good variety of old and new, and it can blend with you as you're always bringing in new people, new ideas, new experiences, and new friendships. So that's a good way to stay in alignment with yourself, is to open up and allow those new experiences to always come into your life. Okay. And the fifth one is just a really simple question. What lights you up? What lights you up? I mean, this is how you get in alignment with your soul, is by finding out what truly lights you up. Many people did what their parents wanted them to do. They went to college, they got a career, maybe they got married and had kids, maybe they got divorced by now, whatever it is, right? They did what they were supposed to do, what they were socially programmed to do. And when I ask people this, I ask my clients all the time, what lights you up? Many of them have a big gap. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so far away from it right now. I've just been doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Um, so finding what lights you up, the easiest way to get there is to go back to the age about between 10 and 12. And what did you do at that time when you were in your play? Because back then we weren't working on our careers, most of us. Um, between 10 and 12, what did you used to do in your childhood that made you just lose track of time because you were having so much fun? And there'll be some real nuggets of gold that you can pull from those experiences. And I think it's really super relevant for me. I did many careers in my life. I had a home staging business. I sold real estate, and then when I really fully embraced all my gifts, I became an author, speaker. I used all my spiritual healing abilities and I mediumship and all the stuff. But I also did a lot of afterlife research. I worked with paranormal groups. I did that for about 20 years. I had an afterlife research society. I headed it up. We explored all the different ways to collect proof of the afterlife, and it was just amazing. It lit me up. I would have groups in my house come for mediumship circles, and we would all share messages of love. And then we'd have development circle, all the things, psychomantiums and different types of levitation that we would do. And all of that stuff, you can tell probably by the way I'm talking about it, lights me up, all of the stuff. Well, what was I doing between 10 and 12? Sleepover parties. And what did we do at sleepover parties? Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Sometimes we do the Ouija board. Sometimes we do, we'd want to connect with our ancestors through seances. We were super into that. And that was something that fascinated me when I was young. I was always in that kind of more spiritual mindset. And I was also into understanding what the potential of the human mind was. So as I moved into teenage years, I was always studying dream analysis and hypnosis and what we could do to our mind to become more fully awake and more in power in our life. Those were things that I found really, really important, and that just fascinated me, right? So when I allowed all my world to be created from my my joy and my happiness from my 10 to 12-year-old span, that was my calling. That was my purpose. And many of you know that because I've worked with you over the years. I've been doing this work for over 30 years professionally. But anyway, that is how you find it. So take those nuggets, whatever they were for you, between those ages. And it doesn't have to be 10 to 12. That's a really good range because that's before the hormones really kick in and you get boy crazy or you start looking for a girlfriend. Younger than that, you're still, dealing with a lot of things, just kind of navigating like where you are in your family, let alone the world, right? So 10 and 12 seems to be a good range, but if you have to go a little younger or a little older to discover that within yourself, then allow yourself that. But you have a particular calling. And your calling will be whatever makes you happy, whatever lights you up, whatever is fascinating for you without end. That is the thing that you have been divinely given to pursue. And everyone's on a unique path. So even if it doesn't make sense to your friends and family, it will be a calling to your soul and you will know it. And when you give time and energy to it, you will feel a joy inside like nothing else. You will feel deeply fulfilled and you'll begin to call in soul family, which means you'll be vibrating in such a way that your like-minded and like-hearted friends, they come in and they find you. You'll be working with new peers, your family. Some may not want to be a part of that. That's okay. It's not their calling. But others will embrace you because they'll see that that is your most authentic self showing up. So that's the call. The call is to be your authentic self and to show up as your authentic self wherever you are in the world. And this is truly how you quantum leap into your highest timeline. The highest timeline means the most abundance, the most fulfillment, the most love, the most deeply satisfying experiences, and just that true sense of knowing that you're growing in such a way that is honoring your soul, that you are honoring who you are as a unique individual with a divine purpose for being here. That's how you quantum jump and quantum leap into your highest timeline. So, and I see some comments here. Oh gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate all your comments, you guys. And thank you for being here so early in the morning. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Las Vegas right now. And I have to do it early because it's literally been like 115, 116 every day. It's very, very hot. So I'm thinking I'm going to be shuffling around and having some new experiences of my own. Oh, Australia, wonderful. Oh, what's the temperature like in Australia? I hope it's not like it is here right now. I am going to be going over to the East Coast for a while to enjoy some more moderate climate, moderate temperatures, and some wonderful new experiences with some old friends, but also ones that have been in alignment with me for a good 30 years. And also meeting a lot of their new friends and having new experiences through that journey. So that'll be coming up. I'm not sure when, but it's on my radar. So I'm embracing the new myself too. Extremely cold in Australia. Oh no. Well, at least it's not 116. Bundle up, stay warm. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Yeah. So just think about today. And if you missed the beginning, just go right back and watch it. The 5 takeaways again, were just evaluate where you are and why. How is it serving you? What you're learning from the experience. What percentage of new are you letting into your life? And what lights you up? That is the absolute solution for being able to jump into your highest timeline, to quantum jump into your highest timeline. So thank you guys. Thank you all so much. I see a whole bunch of you on here and I appreciate your early morning visits with me. And I appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.